Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. Hello, Hope Grace. Hello, Shannon Commit. Who else we got here? Come on now. Let me hear you say good morning, KJ. You're late. Huh? Well, I'll tell you what, I stayed up pretty late last night. I had some documents that I was going over. Hello, Olive Heatley and Edie Ruth. How are y'all doing? Good morning, Chris Arnett, Philly, Janelle Murphy. Hello there. It's Friday, y'all. Donna Donald, Ariel the Mermaid. I Live for Now, Leanne Jordan, Awesome Sassy Sauce, Awesome Sassy Sauce. Miss Milky the Clown One, I ain't heard from you in a while. Hello there. Well, y'all, I got up a little bit ago. I didn't get up and immediately come on right now because I had to check the headlines. Y'all know how I get. Hi, Bullseye. Hi, Carrie Ann. And of course, the answers come flowing down like rain. Hello, Denise Russell, Ron Hensley, Edie Ruth, Michelle Flanagan. Oh, Janelle Murphy's birthday's today, y'all. Happy birthday, Janelle. I hope you have a beautiful Friday birthday. KJ loves you. I hope you have a great birthday. Well, I'm glad you're here, Awesome Sassy Sauce. Hi, sweetie. Hi, Bullseye. Happy birthday, says Olive. Leanne Jordan says happy birthday. Michelle Flanagan says happy birthday. Awesome Sassy Sauce says happy birthday, Janelle. Everybody's wishing you a happy birthday. It's a beautiful day to have a birthday, isn't it? Well, let's get back to falling on my head like a memory. Okay? The rain of truth, y'all. You know, let me just tell you, REIGN. Okay? REIGN. The reigning power of truth. Right? We don't always know 100% what that is. I know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Yet, we did get some answers, or at least I did anyway. And as many of y'all know, on Fridays, I try to be a little more disciplined instead of just falling out with my cup of coffee during Mondays and Wednesdays and just trying to figure out what it is we're going to talk about. Hello, Peg. Hi, Voodoo Girl. Hi, Cosette Campbell. Oh, well, that's good, Peg. And Voodoo Girl tells you, Janelle, happy birthday. Ariel, the mushroom case of Aaron Patterson of Australia. I don't even know how to be Australian in my accent because I'm so damn redneck and country girl, but they did confirm that it was the mushrooms. We all knew it was, and the headlines all over the world and all that was saying that it was allegedly the mushrooms. They did come out with that. Also, you got Erin Patterson. She's still not wanting to talk to the media. There was an article written, I believe it was from Daily Mail, that talked about they came to her house and she said, just basically get the heck out of here. The investigation is still going. And as many of you know from the community wall, Ian Wilkerson, one of the victims, made it through, which is the big news, was released from the hospital. What kind of information will Ian have for investigators? Will he be able to get into specificity about what she had on the beef Wellington there? We made the beef Wellington, y'all. I didn't add no extra sauce to it. I made that bad boy up the best I could. The Rays were there to support me on it. Ian Wilkinson's going to be able to fill in a little few of the blanks, although if Ian thinks that she poisoned him, I mean, he'd have to have, I mean, how would he know that she poisoned him? Because he ate it, right? So It ain't going to be some damning information from Ian Wilkinson that, she's guilty or anything like that. But those little bitty pieces of the puzzle will fall into place. And obviously, we don't know how long the investigation's going to go on. Y'all, it's not just about trying to prove that she had the mens rea to want to murder her in-laws and her in-law mother's sister. It has to do with, is there some kind of culpability at all? Is there manslaughter? Is there, I don't know, criminal negligence? I don't know all of Australia's law codes or anything like that, but something needs to be done. I mean, 3 people are dead, and you can't just chalk it off as an accident, or can you? Hi, Kay White Eagle. Good to see you. Hi, all of you. Maria P., all of y'all. Now, listen. I've actually had a little bit of coffee this morning, y'all. I didn't just start sipping on it. I've had to print off a few things for my Friday discipline. And there's a question that OKJ's been asking ever since Timmy boy, Tim Ballard there, since this stuff has hit the fan. So let's get to it, shall we? Salt Lake City. Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes, y'all. And I've been asking this question. Said he was shocked and deeply saddened and will no longer endorse anyone in the U.S. race after sexual misconduct allegations against Tim Ballard, whom he is known to have a close relationship with. In a statement released on social media, Reyes broke his silence on allegations that have been made against Ballard, the founder and former CEO of Operation Underground Railroad. Quote, I'm shocked and deeply saddened by these allegations, but these women must be heard to ensure all credible evidence can be presented. Until we know more through the resolution of these cases and complaints, I strongly believe that Tim Ballard and R deserve a presumption of innocence, just as women coming forward on these issues should have a presumption of credibility. Okay, there you go. Sounds nice and tidy, don't it? Sean Reyes is coming out. He's not going to endorse anyone, which obviously equals into that's who he was going to endorse. The Attorney General of Utah, 9 times out of 10, y'all, unless some of this crap happens through history, they come out and endorse someone. Well, he's not going to endorse anyone. You know why? Because Tim Ballard was his guy. And I'll tell you something else, y'all. This leans, in my opinion, that Senator Mitt Romney's seat there, which has, I believe, been secured for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Well, it looks like they're going to have a real issue. That yes, there's other people in the race that are in that religion, but will these people be in the pocket of anyone? Reyes and Ballard are known to have a close personal relationship with Reyes and has been an ally of Operation Underground Railroad for many years. And let me just be clear, y'all. When Operation Underground Railroad began in the first couple of years, it probably was a good thing. It probably started out good. But I have read into the investigative notes, not opinions. These are interviews. These are facts. It became, believe it or not, y'all, it became about money. You know, isn't that always how it ends up? Attorney General Reyes says, I can say that in all my interactions with Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad over many years, I've never seen or experienced anything improper or illegal. Well, of course he's going to say that. Why would he come out and say he did. I'm not saying he does, but he's got to say, I've never seen anything illegal or done unethical or wrong or anything like that. He's got to. He's the freaking Attorney General of Utah. To the contrary, what I have witnessed and the work we've done together raising awareness of modern day slavery, rescuing children, and providing aftercare services has made, I believe, a positive impact on the world. And just as I told y'all the other day, when we got into the semantics of does people really need to know where the money goes, and if only any portion goes toward a good cause, isn't that what matters? Because it wouldn't have never been there in the first place, right? But I think Sean Reyes is either laying in the weeds about, this ignorance is bliss thing for him. I know in the investigative documents, there was several pages about how Sean Reyes and his office did not need to be known. They did not need to know about what the inner workings of that investigation was. That is very clear. Now, whether Sean Reyes could find out through other people, obviously Sean Reyes knew there was a state and a federal investigation going on. According to the investigative paperwork, they're saying in there, they stated, you can't let Sean Reyes or any of his people in his office know the specifics about what's going on in this investigation. So when Sean Reyes says, I have witnessed and the work has been done together raising awareness of modern day slavery, I'm sure years ago that was so. Also, like I said, even having a nonprofit that even says we're trying to get rid of sex trafficking. That's a good thing, right? Rescuing children and providing aftercare services, says Sean Reyes, is something that he knows about in Operation Underground Railroad. Well, there was some children rescued at one time, but as the investigative documents say, and I will post every one of them, y'all, on the community wall. I'll put a link there. You can go over. There's 75 pages of an internal investigation, which ultimately did not file any charges or anything like that. There was rescue of children and providing aftercare services. I'm sure that happened at one time, but here in the last few years, it is absolutely, according to investigators, been no real aftercare coming from Operation Underground Railroad. And you will find this for yourself. These are facts. There was no real care there. And this positive impact on the world, well, yes, I'm sure there was a positive impact on the world. But now you've got this coming out, and there are going to be all kinds of people that are going to be saying, well, look what, I gave to the Operation Underground Railroad, or I gave to other causes, and look, it's being laid bare that this was a freaking go-through organization that lied to everyone about, they're actually doing the work when other people were doing it. They were skimming, y'all. They were skimming off of the donations, and they were telling people that they themselves were doing it. As Senator Mitt Romney announced he would not be running for re-election, Reyes announced that he would be endorsing a dear friend of mine who is a great conservative patriot and a warrior to run and serve as the next senator for Utah. Y'all, many people assumed Reyes was alluding to Ballard, and now it's been confirmed. Why not? And who else would have been your patriot and a good conservative? It was Tim Ballard. Common sense. Now it seems Reyes will not be endorsing anyone in the Senate race. Quote, in light of so many unanswered questions and concerns, A.G. Reyes will not be endorsing anyone in Utah's 2024 U.S. Senate race, and that's about as safe a place as Attorney General Reyes can get. And folks, let me tell you something. His ass was pokering. He was going to go down this road, I will say this. I don't think it's really about the investigation, y'all. I think it's about when the church came out and lambasted Tim Ballard. That Attorney General Wray said, oh, I've been installed by them. I got to do what they say. Y'all, these are just my opinions. So, what do y'all think about that? Liza Joe says, kind of off topic, but I guess you could kind of blend it in. Chad Daybell thought he could be a god. Let's see what else we got here. Hello, Fancy Nancy Bergbauer. Hello, Liza Joe. Harley 62. Anup Majai. I don't know how to say that. Hi, Language of Horses. Yeah, I do too, Language of Horses. I think they're all sideways. I think they're all trying to scramble and get their crap together because it's not looking good. It's just not looking good at all. Good morning, Jenny Benny. So, there were 75 pages of investigative reports on this whole situation. And no, I didn't print all 75 off. I went through it methodically. Things that kind of signal to me a little different. You know, it kind of just makes me really want to scratch my head, basically. Maria P. says when the heat gets too hot, the church has to roast one of their own to cool things off. Yeah, the shiny object, Maria P. Isn't that really what it comes down to? Well, how about this, y'all? Why don't we look at a shiny object that is actually worth looking at, huh? See, I was going to start with something else, but let's just go with this because I think this kind of sums it up. Now, there was this employee of Operation Underground Railroad that was interviewed, and unfortunately, I didn't get the first name of this woman, but her last name is Cherstin, Cherstyn. And one of these attorneys in the investigation asked Cherstin, was Cherstin ever asked to go and meet with any high-ranking LDS church members? And Cherstin said she did. Cherstin said she met with M. Russell Ballard privately with Tim Ballard, with another general authority, Elder Ronald Raspin, who is over the Haiti area. Cherstin stated she met with Elder Russell Ballard and Tim Ballard privately at an R function. Cherstin said she met with Elder Raspin in the church office building in a conference room with Tim Ballard, herself, Jerry Gowen, and Jessica Moss. Cherstin said she was in a few private meetings with Elder Russell Ballard, not as a private church meeting, but he would come to an OUR event and as they would meet in a VIP room, y'all. However, Cherstin says Tim met with Elder Ballard once a month. And y'all, before I gave you that news just now, I was going to go into who this Cherstin is. Well, this Cherstin is not taking up for Tim Ballard, and this Cherstin has not got any reason at all to make this stuff up. They knew when they were being interviewed that they could get their ass in big trouble. We're talking about the FBI, y'all. We're talking about state's attorneys. We're talking about telling the truth here. And if you get busted, you can go to prison. So there you go. There's that news. And then, of course, you hear about the news a little over a week, two ago that Russell M. Ballard didn't support or do anything toward anything having to do with Tim Ballard. Well, Russell M. Ballard absolutely was meeting with Tim Ballard once a month. My opinion is, this is an opinion, that Russell Ballard was a silent partner with Tim Ballard to take the monies that was coming in through OUR, funneling them through these other shell deals. These are my views. So let's get back to Sheriston, excuse me, y'all. So I was like, okay, well, I got to feel out who this Sheriston is. Why would this Sheriston say something that wasn't true? I had to look through the whole 75-page document for every time that Sheriston was interviewed, talked about, anything like that. And we'll just look at Sheriston and Sheriston's, I guess what you call testimony to these investigators. Sheriston said that using numbers from outside partners might cover their bases for marketing, but the donors want to know what rescue dollars are being used for. So Sheriston was in marketing, was doing all this stuff, was in the inner workings of OUR. Sheriston stated that the Moloff Foundation wanted to give directly to the Agape International Mission instead of going through OUR. And that's when Tim confronted Moloff. Now, Moloff was someone who was a big-time donor to OUR. Tim confronted Moloff and asked them why they wanted to donate to AIM instead of OUR, because they were an OUR donor and they should donate to OUR. And Moloff told Tim it was because OUR was a pass-through. Why would they not just donate directly to the nonprofit foundation doing the work? So this donor found out, and you'll find out through here if I don't talk to you about it, that they actually were giving big money to OUR and then decided to hire somebody to find out where the money was actually going. It was a nonprofit, y'all. Remember, it has to be known. Sheriston said it did not look good to donors that a really large donor found out that OUR needed their large donation to look good and that the money was just being used to pass through to the AIM so that they could do the work R was taking credit for. So again, when it comes to donors, whether it's political, whether it's a nonprofit, whatever, one of the ways that these organizations can get these big-time donors is saying, hey, this big donor over here, Moloff over here, they're giving money. This gives credibility. And Sheriston said that the numbers had been padded. And there is that proof right there that it really came down to money, and that maybe at the foundation and beginning of OUR there was some work being done, but it eventually pivoted into, okay, we don't jump out of helicopters and we don't do all these things anymore. But Tim Ballard continues to do all this crazy ass storytelling. But legally, y'all, what they were doing, it's legal. Because if it wasn't legal, there would have been charges filed through this investigation. And let me just throw this out here. The FBI is still investigating. Maybe they're putting a case together. The state of Utah closed the case. Is anyone even surprised? So let's get to the aftercare that Tim Ballard was going on and telling everybody that these survivors were getting aftercare through OUR. Sheriston said that her current survivors are going through therapy, and there is a lot of language coming out through therapy that the survivors are saying, we're being exploited by Tim Ballard. Y'all, these survivors of child sex trafficking, whether they're child or women, they're saying that Tim Ballard is using them. The survivors are stating that OUR will give them $5,000 if they are advocates for R or join their advocacy board. Why can't they give the damn money? Because these people have been absolutely traumatized. Give them some damn money. $80 million, and all you want to give them is $5,000? They can kiss my ass. They're furious that OUR is claiming that they are helping them as survivors because they have done nothing for them. Dahlia's Hope did not know, did not know that this was all going on and all that. And Dahlia's Hope is a competitor, y'all. A competitor of OUR. And Sheriston left OUR to go with them because they were actually doing this work, this aftercare work. Sheriston stated there was a survivor from Mexico who had rescued herself from traffickers and sexual abuse and made it to the United States. The survivor was identified as Dahlia, and Dahlia changed her name after the trial. Faith was taken all over the country by Tim Ballard to use her as a marketing piece and to tell her version of her story. Sheriston said Ballard completely compromised this victim by showing her sitting behind him in photos to Congress and other images when she was in the middle of a criminal case against her traffickers. Tim Ballard did not even, this man that only actually spent a couple of months in the CIA, by the way, he made it out to be like he was an expert CIA person. Give me a break. He should have known. He should have known not to do this. Sheriston stated one of the things she had a hard time with about OUR was how they continue to claim that everyone that they are experts, and that the area team, there's an area of team of experts. Sheriston said Matt Osborne is touted as a CIA operative when in fact Matt only sat at a desk as an analyst. She said that Tim tells people that he worked at the CIA briefly and was so good that the Department of Homeland Security cherry-picked him to work for them. Sheriston said this is very misleading to the public and misleading to the donors. Sheriston continued to ask around the office about Tim's CIA experience and was finally told by his sister, Emily, that he only worked for the CIA for months. Sheriston said their model of going in and rescuing or taking the children out of whatever environment they were in is unsafe for the kids. Sheriston said Tim would frequently take a bunch of buddies or people that he wanted to bring on rescue missions without clearing them with the OUR team. She mentioned one operation was canceled because one of Tim's friends took a camera and recorded and compromised the operation. She said many of the people who went on the operations were not vetted or prepared to be in the environments they encountered. She mentioned Tim brought one young BYU college student who worked with video production, and he ended up getting himself in trouble in the strip clubs while they were working at the operations. And that was when this producer, along with this other fellow, was touching breasts, y'all. Sherilyn said their model of going in and rescuing was just smoke and mirrors, y'all. Sheriston said a lot of times they would hear about things after the fact from the public before they hear about it internally from their co-workers. This is a person who's in this organization that's not being kept in the loop about anything. Sherston stated nobody knew why Dutch Turley left. They knew that Tim and Dutch had a big fight, and Tim claimed that Dutch did something that was very wrong. She later heard that wasn't true, but Tim spin on it. Excuse me, y'all. Sherston says, I have heard Tim lie, spin. I mean, he can phrase things like no one I've ever known. He can rally a crowd to this cause like no one I've ever known. But he spins things like his statistics about every second or minute a child is stolen. He made that up. He took a statistic of how many total kids are trafficked and divided how many minutes or seconds. It was blindsiding to feel like someone who poised themselves as an expert. So when you begin to see the people are willing to spend, it really threatens, like, what else will they spend? And Sherston said when it talked about aftercare, they wanted to keep things in general umbrella terms, keep it covered up. Sherston says, I do want to talk about aftercare for a second, because Jessica Moss, she's a liar, she's a fraud, and she's a joke. And this Jessica Moss was one of the people that met with Russell M. Ballard, along with Tim Ballard, another fella, in these VIP secret meetings. What's interesting is when they, in this investigative report, it said, not a secret church meeting. Well, there you go, y'all. I mean, many of us knew it anyway. The church has these secret meetings. Do they not want to be transparent to the rank and file members of their religion? I mean, would these leaders, would they even be leaders without these people believing in them? Good morning, Great Day Mom. Good morning. Olive Heatley says, CIA, con man in action. But let's get back to this Jessica Moss, who's a high roller in the ranks there at OUR, under Tim Ballard and all that. Sherston could not understand why a company as large as OUR had Jessica Moss in the position that she was in. Sherston said that March of 2017, she believed that was the year OUR was invited to the United Nations as a guest of United Families. As their guest, they would be allowed to speak on or be on a panel and offered expert advice to the UN, the United Nations. This Jessica Moss was going to go in there as an expert and talk to these United Nations people. Jessica was going to be speaking, so she was required to provide her identification, credentials, and certifications. Sherston said Jessica kept avoiding providing those credentials. Jessica had traveled all over the world while she will speak and be on panels for various groups, and tells them that she is an expert and an international therapist. Ding, 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 a therapist. When Jessica was checked out, it was found that Jessica does not have any credentials and is not a licensed therapist. Jessica only had an undergraduate degree in biblical studies because she wanted to become a minister. And wouldn't that be the perfect person for Tim Ballard to have in his organization? Someone who wanted to be a minister, someone who was right on top of the biblical studies, someone who believes in the mission of OUR, that ultimately, and this is just for some, these are for the Mormons, these are for Russell Ballard, these are for all that. Tim Ballard's going to be the Mormon Messiah to bring all these people back under the umbrella of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Jessica only had an undergraduate degree. However, Jessica's the one in charge. She's in charge of aftercare and the person to vet aftercare homes all over the world. And Cheriston said Jessica tells everyone all over the world that she is literally the expert in aftercare. Cheriston said that Tim tells everyone, and they throw these expert titles around, and nobody verifies it. Cheriston said when her and a few others found out that Jessica did not have the qualifications that she was claiming, they went and told John Lyons and Jerry Gowen. She said that the leadership of R didn't care and kept promoting Jessica. Cheriston said that Jessica's end game was that she wanted... What was Jessica's end game, y'all? This one who was an expert, not in aftercare, and she was working for R, and nobody cared that she didn't have the credentials. What was her end game? She wanted to be a model, an actress, a celebrity, and be in the movies. Now, isn't that a lofty goal when you're wanting to save child sex trafficked children and women? She wanted to be in the movies. Cheriston said that when she founded, now I'll back up, Cheriston founded Dahlia's Hope. Tim called her and was upset that she was now a competition to OUR. And Cheriston stated to Tim that R was not doing anything that Dahlia's Hope was doing. Tim said they have an aftercare program. And Cheriston asked Tim if OUR had any of the following: clinical therapy, group therapy, recreational therapy, vocational training, education, medical, dental. Tim told her OUR didn't do any of those things. And so there you go on that. The bottom line is this affected people, y'all. This affected people. Not only that Tim Ballard was wanting to take these victims of these crimes and bring them all over the place and tout OUR and make it look like they were the ones that were actually doing the work. But now they're getting into this area where it's actually dangerous, y'all, on a mental, emotional, and physical level to go out here and tell everybody, yes, we're providing aftercare, when they're not. And, you know, it just somehow, some way, and it's just an opinion. I think about that young lady, whoever she was, whose face is blurred out, who came in defense of Tim Ballard the other day, saying everything was on the up and up. She never, ever saw anything, sexual conduct or anything like that, y'all. If Tim Ballard can take actual victims across the country, I mean, there's stuff in there about wanting to go on the Dr. Oz show and all this. If he can do that and take pictures of these victims, especially if a victim is in the middle of a court thing where these traffickers are being taken to court and he wants to have a picture showing her face, which is absolutely dangerous, to puff up OUR, why can't he put the woman? Why can't he put the woman who's coming into his defense about sexual misconduct? Why can't her face be shown? Huh? He can show the faces of these trafficked women to puff him up, but he ain't going to show the face of another woman. What? Why can't she show her face? Huh? If nothing's been done wrong, and her testimony is, Tim did nothing wrong, I went on one of these operations, everything was very professional and all that. Well, why blur the face? You should be loud and proud, huh? Huh? Well, I'll tell you what, Fancy Nancy. How about this? Try this theory on for size. Are you ready? I'm going to tell you. Just an opinion. These Mormons, these married Mormon men, they could go under the blanket if I'm going, honey. Not just Tim Ballard. I'm talking about other ones too, y'all. This is just a theory. I'm going, honey. I'm going to save the children. I got to go on this operation in Mexico. And they're getting to go into strip clubs when they normally wouldn't get to do that. They get to touch breasts when they normally wouldn't do that. Oh, but they're trying to save the children, and this is just a terrible thing. Y'all, this was to me not 100%, but it sure did draw in some Mormon married men so that they could tell their wives, or they could justify going into a strip club or having to do this or do that. It's a good theory, y'all. It's a damn good theory. Yeah, exactly, Jenny Benny. I wish I could have thought about that. Jenny Benny says it's like a free vacation from their religion. And not only do they get away from the morals and everything of their religion, they get to tell everybody, I helped save the children. I went on Tim Ballard's operation there with OUR. And ain't I a good person? Well, Sean Reyes went on one of those operations. And in these 75 page documents of the investigation, facts, Sean Ray went on one of those operations. And the board that was basically shielding Tim Ballard all this time of OUR is saying in their documents, you can look it up, this ain't me talking shit. We don't need to be showing Sean Reyes. It's just so much of Sean Reyes being showed in these pictures and in conversations. They wanted to back off that. Wonder why that is. You think Sean Reyes is like, hey, I'll go on the operation with you, but you need to be careful. I'm the Attorney General of Utah now, and he sure as hell has to be careful. Now that the church has come out against Tim Ballard, well, hey, nobody's ever going to find out whether Tim Ballard is being counseled so that he can stay in good standing with the church, or that Tim Ballard's being asked to leave the church. In fact, Tim Ballard's made the public statement that he's in great standing. How can someone come out and say, I am in good standing with my church, and the church leadership is saying he's done these morally unacceptable things? How is that? Is that an oxymoron? Opposite messages. Opposite. Or is it that Tim Ballard is saying, I'm in good standing with my church, equaling, y'all better be careful, because I've got the goods on you? And do you see the church moving to make Tim Ballard leave the church? No, but I guarantee you this. The church did move to keep Tim Ballard from running for Senate. Because they knew. They knew they weren't going to be able to, knowing how Tim Ballard was doing all this lying and doing all these things that he was doing, and the fact that he was, in my opinion, allegedly, in a silent partnership with Russell M. Ballard. Their hands are tied. They can't go any further with it. They've shot their cannon across the freaking bow there to Tim Ballard, and Tim Ballard is like, okay, I've been called out. Now I can't be a senator. The whole reason that I went and sat in front of Congress talking about trafficking and all this stuff was so people could see me in that position in Congress, give me some credibility, and just the reality that Tim Ballard went to Congress to talk about trafficking and all of this stuff. It just goes to show you, when you look underneath the surface of what Tim Ballard was doing, along with OUR, that these freaking congressmen and women don't know shit. They don't know nothing. They're bringing people to testify about stuff. There are no experts in any of this. It just looks good. It just looks good, and people are so damn numb to how these freaking people in Congress, on a state and federal level, they just act like they're working. It's all a big kabuki show. I think so, Fancy Nancy. This woman, this Cheriston, she has no reason whatsoever to lie. In fact, she's got a reason not to lie. Because if she gets busted, and she knows the FBI and the state attorneys, the state is doing a investigation. She lies, she could go down, so she's telling the truth when she says that Tim Ballard met with Russell M. Ballard once a month. And everybody wants to see the shiny objects of these women who were, I do believe it, spiritual abuse, grooming and all that. That's just on top of it. But can we stay focused? Can I stay focused on the fact that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says they never had any dealings with Tim Ballard? That's just not true, y'all. It's just not true. You would have to believe that Tim Ballard and these other members of OUR who met with Russell M. Ballard had kept him in the dark about everything. Y'all, this is a freaking, the president of the Quorum of 12 here. Does he not know what's going on, y'all? All the way around. All the way around. So yes, I was waiting for the shoe to fall on what Attorney General Sean Reyes was going to do. I could not see him moving forward to endorse Tim Ballard for Senate. I will just hypothesize this. Whoever else has thrown their hat in to Mitt Romney's seat in the Senate, I'm sure they're going to have some really good meetings with the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they're going to all iron out how this senator is going to do whatever they're going to do for the church. It is what it is. It's ugly because not everyone in Utah, I'm saying the majority in Utah are Mormon and all that, but there are people, citizens, taxpayers in Utah that aren't part of that religion, and everyone needs equal representation. That's something that a person that's in leadership position on a local, state, or federal level wants to do. They want to, but y'all know as well as I do, there's just so much hypocrisy, so much magical thinking, as some of you say. Yeah, Liza Joe. Sean Reyes, he's not going to endorse anybody for Mitt Romney's Senate seat, but he will. He will enter into a stipulation with Jody Hillebrand to voluntarily give her license up. But it's not a acknowledgement of guilt or anything. And if everything goes okay for old Jody there, she could get her license back, which we all know is never going to happen. Language of Horses says things could get violent in Utah over this. Well, I'll tell you what, Language of Horses, I don't know all of everything about the mindset of people that live in Utah or anything like that, and I sure do not begin to understand the mindset of people in that religion. But what I will say is when you mess with shit, you get it all over you. That's something I know to be true. You mess with it. You mess with shit, you get it all over you. That's what my mom always told me, and she never cursed except that. She would say that. She'd say the word shit. She never cussed any other time, though. She wanted to drill it in me. You mess with the wrong people. You do the wrong things. You behave in crappy ways, and you're going to get crappy results. Tim Ballard was lying and lying and lying, and for so long, it really increased those coffers so he could create these other entities where he could skim it, get it through there. Hell, it got to where, y'all, you go and check it out yourself. These law enforcement agencies were not going to continue to work with Tim Ballard when they went to, well, we're going to tell everybody technically that We're doing the work because we're giving the money to law enforcement. And without that money to law enforcement, this would never happen. Law enforcement said we don't. There became a brick wall for Tim Ballard. But I'll tell you one thing Tim Ballard always had. He was one hell of a deceitful storyteller. He could lay it on thick, smooth as silk, as sharp as a viper's tongue. And he's sitting right by his wife in that interview he had with, I forgot the name of the podcast, the other day before this stuff came out yesterday. And she's sitting there, and it really bothers me that I just have to believe that unless she's just someone that is so brainwashed that deep down in her heart, she knows that what he's done with these women are wrong. But she has him as a husband. This goes back to the husband and wife of that religion. He's the head over her, which they abuse that. The fact that she has these many children with him. The fact that everything about their quality of life, their home, their cars, their money, their status is in jeopardy. And so she has to stand behind Tim Ballard, her husband. And for him to sit there, y'all, and explain away this the way he has, does he really think that people are that freaking stupid? Oh yeah, there are people that have put all their eggs in one basket to support Tim Ballard. 100%. Do not put confidence in man, because you're going to get shit on every time. And it's because that people can be deceitful and betray you, but it also can be, for instance, if any of y'all wanted to believe, okay, Jay, she's my friend, I love her and everything. I believe that, and I live it to the best of my ability, but y'all, I'm a human being. I could really let a lot of people down. I try real hard not to. I can hurt people because I am in this fleshly body trying to live out a spiritual life, falling on my ass left and right, but I try, and I want to do what's right for people. But I can only do what I can do for myself and hope that, for goodness sake, it all works out. It bothers me that so many people are so invested in another human being that they're not looking. They're not looking to God for the answers. How many answers does someone need when you have empirical, absolutely factual empirical proof that Tim Ballard's a damn liar? And they're still going to support him? Tim Ballard is still going to double down? And the sad reality is his church, they have absolutely, it's disappointing, y'all. There's no way, y'all, there's no way that Russell M. Ballard did not know what was going on with the psychic medium or this whole concept of Tim Ballard wanting to bring people into the Mormon church. This would increase the numbers. And ultimately, it has to do with money. Money. And maybe some of these people think, well, we're here on this earth, and this world is run by money and power and prestige, and we don't want to like that or anything, but it's the only way that we can function against the evils of the world when they themselves don't even want to look at themselves. The fruits of what you're doing. You can justify anything and say, yes, I'm lying to these people. But the ultimate thing I'm trying to do, you cannot do something bad with the underlying motive being good. It don't work. It has to be doing good to get good. Well, we've gotta drain the dragon. So we're against government, but we're gonna take advantage of every benefit they'll give us. Give me a break. Fancy Nancy, you say take away their tax exemption and they are gone. And I don't know, are you talking about Operation Underground Railroad, i.e. Tim Ballard? Are you talking about the church? Because I'm going to tell you what, in the United States, it is tiptoe through the tulips there when it comes to messing with any organized religion. The Constitution is the Constitution of the United States. It's a two-edged sword in some areas, but it is not, absolutely not, the two-edged sword. The only two-edged sword is God's holy word. The two-edged sword. How much of the armor of God has Tim Ballard put on? How much of it? Well, I'll tell you what, I don't see it anywhere. That's just an opinion. It seems to be Tim Ballard. Maybe Tim Ballard thinks, oh, I was given a measure of gifts, and one of my measures of gifts is I'm a good storyteller. And, just as this woman, the Sheriston said, I mean, he could talk you into anything and everything. And maybe he thinks that's his gift from his God. Well, I'll tell you what, if that's the way he thinks, is his lowercase g, because I can't see it being God Almighty, want him to lie? Want him to deceive? I'll tell you who wants that to happen. Satan himself, Lucifer, the father of lies. That's who promotes lying. That's what that's all about. Janelle Murphy says if Tim Ballard had the armor of God, he wouldn't be in this predicament that he's in. Fancy Nancy says not even a sock of the armor of God does Tim Ballard have. There you go. You can see it. It ain't an opinion. You look at someone, they're producing, what's coming out of their mouth defiles the man, right? Well, I'll tell you what, it can also, something good could come of what someone produces and comes out of them. I don't see it with Tim Ballard. I think at one time there was a chance, y'all, that Tim Ballard, when he started OUR, he really probably felt very strongly wanting to do this. And maybe as he gained popularity and donors and all that, he became corrupted. As anybody would. That's why I always say, I'm so glad Wayne and I don't play the lottery. Because if we won billions of dollars, it would corrupt us. We wouldn't get to be the people that we try to be today. Blemishes and character defects and all. And far from righteous or anything else, we try our best to put one foot in front of the other to be a good person. Well, Tim Ballard put one foot in front of the other in line to many people. And make no mistake, y'all, there were these huge donors out here that wanted that clout. They wanted people to know, look, we're big donors to this sex trafficking thing. We're so lily-ass white, whatever. No one ever does anything anymore, in my opinion, in this type of situation without wanting to get something out of it. Well, Glenn Beck, he dropped Tim Ballard off of his Nazarene thing. That was the Middle East stuff. I was looking into the investigation. One of the donors says, I don't want any of my money going over here to this Middle East stuff. That's not what I want. This goes back to, do you want to give and hope for the best? Knowing the cause you're giving that to, leaving it in their hands, having faith enough to know they're going to do the right thing to help save children and women? Or do you got to know every single penny that you give? Because if you do, it could be just a responsible thing to do, is to know where your money's going. But it also means that you've got to have some control over your giving. And yes, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to go out here and just be out of control and just give because you want to give. I understand there has to be some discernment there. All I can say in this type of situation, this demonstrates to me that when people give of their money to someone who is lying to them, the only good that can come out of that is that these people gave, the person lied to them. Maybe they never find out they lie. And they just feel good about the giving, you know. Janelle Murphy says some stewardship. Ann Gibson says money can change a person. Oh, yeah. Ariel the Mermaid says, Krisha K. Easton of Difficult Research going live tonight on Tim Ballard. Mormon Church in-game, y'all. This will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. We haven't heard, and I'm jumping off the subject here. We haven't heard anything lately about Corey Richens, whether there'll be a hearing on the state's motion to keep Corey Richens from speaking to her mother and brother. We haven't heard anything else on Ruby and Jody there. October 5th. I don't know if it's October 5th or anytime after October 5th. They're supposed to have some movement on a bail here and there. Excuse me, on there. Well, hello, Nicole. Hello, Leanne Forsberg. Susan Honecker. So I am going to, for all of you, I don't know how else to say it. Some of y'all are deep divers into cases. I'm going to post, and I'm sure you can find it yourself, but I'll just post it on the community wall, the actual investigative reports. There's 75 pages of them. You just scroll down. You might have to zoom in on some of them unless you have a big screen on your computer. If you're going to use your phone to look at them or whatever, you might have to go like this a little bit. And you'll get your feel. You'll get your feel. What is interesting to me is that no charges were filed. And that is on a state level. Wonder if the FBI is going to take that up. Wonder. Or maybe all it was ever about, y'all, was not allowing Tim Ballard to get into the Senate. Right? He didn't really sexually have any sexual misconduct with these women. He's never lied. He's never misrepresented. He's never, ever used Russell Ballard's name in anything. And the church there, they've never had any dealings with Tim Ballard, have they? Well, the Sherston said that Tim Ballard and Russell Ballard met once a month. Now, isn't that special? So, I love you all. Y'all have a great weekend. Who knows? We might meet up again over the weekend on a live. Maybe I'll pop one up. Maybe we'll do a, what is it? All rays on deck. Who knows? I love you all. Thanks, y'all, for everything. Your support, your comments, everything. Let's be there. For Krisha K. Easton of Difficult Research, y'all have a great weekend. You hear any news, put it on the community wall and keep on looking.